Hey there, lovely people. Welcome to Be Your Best You with Tash and Becky, your go-to hangout for all things spiritual, subconscious, and downright magical. We're here to sprinkle a little mystical wisdom into your everyday life and help you level up your reality.
Picture this as your cosmic coffee date, where we chat about the unseen world, blend in some psychology vibes and stir up the subconscious magic. Get ready to be the queen of your own reality, live a life that lights you up and have a blast doing it.
So grab your latte or your tea and let's dive into another episode of Be Your Best You, where the mystical meets the mundane and your best life awaits.
Cheers to creating magic together.
Let's do this. Hi! Welcome back to another episode of Be Your Best You with Tash
And Becky.
Hey guys. So today, we're going on to the spiritual kind of unseen world topic, aren't we? Because we've had a lot of, we're just talking about it, we've had a lot of kind of the psychology mindset recently, haven't we? So we thought that we'd sprinkle a little bit of spirituality in today.
Lovely.
But actually, as always, as we always say this, isn't it? Like we say it's spiritual and unseen, but it's actually part of your everyday life.
Yeah.
It's so normal. And you guys are, well, obviously, you know, because you've seen the podcast title, but we're talking about channeling today. You guys are all channels and you guys are channeling a lot of the time, whether you realise it or not.
Yeah, exactly.
And the reason that we wanted to do this episode today, actually, is because we kind of want to demystify channeling, don't we?
Yeah.
We want to, I mean, I don't know, some people, do we all know what channeling means?
I certainly didn't
No.
until, you know, a few years ago now, isn't it? Where we discovered it. So, and then you realise, it then opened you up to all these areas where you've been doing it and you didn't even know it.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
And I think it's definitely becoming more popular, more in the mainstream now, as are a lot of spiritual kind of concepts and stuff. But so what I would really love is to demystify, take away any fear or weirdness that people feel around the word channeling and what it is.
Because it can be, can't it?
Yeah, it definitely can be. And I think because it was as with everything, it's misunderstood. Yeah. And then, you know, it's like even with hypnotherapy, again, it's becoming a lot more mainstream now. The myths are being debunked or whatever. People are understanding it more. But there's still so many people are like scared of hypnotherapy. And it's just so part of your natural everyday life. And actually, it's interesting that I've kind of said this because being in hypnosis and channeling are very, very similar, and they do cross over because obviously when I'm doing my past life regressions and I take people into hypnosis, we channel through their higher self. So actually what hypnosis is a way of getting yourself into a state deliberetely to then be able to channel. But you are, through your daily life, you know, getting yourself in a state where you are then channeling. And we'll talk about this later because I think it's so important to understand this concept of channeling for yourselves, because we are always talking about how, you know, the podcast is Be Your Best You. So it's how these spiritual things and working with the unseen world can actually help enhance your life, can help you grow, can help you become your true authentic self, can help you find out who you actually truly are, and with that, like your gifts and your abilities, your unique talents. And when you channel, you are actually actively stepping into what your natural gifts and abilities and talents are, which is why channeling can make your life so much better, because you're allowing that specialness that is you, that uniqueness that is you, to come through and share it with the world. And that's what we're all supposed to be doing. That's what we've come here for. But if you don't know how to access that, or if you don't understand when you're doing it and when you're not, then you're just kind of doing it as and when you're not in control of it. Do you know what I mean? So you might slip into it and that feels good and it's great, but you can't actively do it. And again, like everything we talk about, you know, manifesting, we've spoken about this on the podcast before. You are always manifesting. It's not about, I'm going to do a ritual to manifest, or I'm going to do a visualization and then I'm going to manifest this. You are manifesting every second of your life, but it's whether you're doing it consciously or through your subconscious beliefs and limits and fears, etc. Same with channeling. You are always able to channel, and you will be doing it at times in your life. But if you know how to do it consciously, if you can get yourself to that, you make yourself more productive, more efficient, have more joy in your life. Life becomes easier. And like I said, you get to share your unique gifts that you've come into this world with other people to make their lives better as well.
Yeah. And do you think it's got, anything to do with confidence as well? You know, when you're having a conversation and something is trying to drop a suggestion into your head and you shut it down, you think, oh no, I won't say that, because you haven't maybe got the confidence to say it to that person. That, it's unlocking that confidence and trust, like you say. Like, I'm hearing that now, we see it as, oh, I'm hearing this for a reason. When we're talking to each other, even, isn't it? It's like, oh, I must say that to her because that might be important, because that could be channeled, that could be not from me. So it's like that side of things as well, which obviously enriches your life and everybody around you.
Exactly.
Because you've got that confidence to speak up.
I mean, again, this is why I love this, because it's all the same thing, isn't it? Everything we speak about can always be related back to whatever we're talking about on the podcast at each time. Yes, it's about trusting your intuition, trusting those feelings that you're getting inside yourself, and yes, having the confidence to be able to then actually express it or do something about it.
It can be quite personal, can't it, to that, but you sort of think, oh, obviously there's ways of wording things, isn't there? Like, you don't just want to say the first thing that comes into your head, but you feel, like you say, you filter it through your filter, and then you can put it nicely, gently, whatever it is, but you have to say that thing that's popped into your head for a reason.
And I think this is where it crosses over, because that is that's your intuition. And yes, you are potentially channeling from your higher self, from your guides, from like whatever you kind of connect with. But channeling is, in this sense that we're talking about, is more of when you're allowing a stream to come through and you're being very aware of it and
opened up to it. It's your intention.
So that could just be like, your intuition's popping in something at a point, which we get all the time, by the way. That's happening all the time. It's just that we're not, most of us aren't connected into that, so because it's so subtle. And we've spoken about intuition before, haven't we? That's what that is. Channeling's more of a longer type process, and you can do it again consciously, or you're doing it unconsciously. So let's talk about kind of what channeling is, because it's very broad. And there's lots of different types of channeling. And, even what you said, that is a type of channeling. It is. So, but I think what most people think of, I would hazard to guess, if people have heard of channeling, what you're probably thinking of is when people go into a trance and they start, like they have their eyes closed and they start saying stuff and it doesn't sound like them. And that is actually, that is channeling. That's trance channeling. There's so many other ways of channeling as well. So I think that, I think the thing that made channeling most popular, potentially brought it into the mainstream a bit more, was when obviously everybody that's listening to this is more than likely heard of the law of attraction, and that law of attraction became popular because of the book The Secret. But what I think inspired the book The Secret, and I could be wrong, but I think this is kind of how it happened. What inspired the lady that wrote The Secret about the law of attraction, how it works, was the channelings that came through from Esther Hicks. So maybe some people have heard of Esther and Jerry Hicks, and she channeled a group of beings called Abraham, and they were the ones that started talking about this law of attraction. And I think that might have been in the 80s. But then obviously The Secret came out in 2000s. So that's what brought it really mainstream.
Right.
But I'm sure a lot of people have heard of Abraham Hicks, and they're the kind of the law of attraction beings.
Yeah.
And before that, there were other like channels. I think there was a really a well-known in the spiritual world channel called Jane someone, and she channeled an entity or a being called Seth. And I think that was like the start of this kind of channeling but then there's Edgar Casey. Like, you could go back, like, my spiritual history. I can't get away from history. I'm like, oh, I love it. And people might have heard of Edgar Casey, who was called the Sleeping Prophet. And that was he was, I'm not sure, 1800s into the 1900s, maybe. I don't know, but that kind of time frame. And he used to go to sleep. He'd go to sleep, but he wasn't really asleep. He was in a deep state of hypnosis, and then he'd channel things through, but he couldn't remember what he said. Right. But he had a secretary, and she would write it all down. And he gave loads of information, loads of what Edgar Casey said back then has come to pass. Wow. I think he kind of brought through loads of stuff. Yeah. And I think he said he channeled the Akashic Records, which is like a whole nother topic, but the Akashic Records is what they say it's like a library that holds all the information of everything that's happened and everything that ever will happen, and if you could tap into that, you can kind of get information. Wow. But yeah, so anyway, a brief history of channeling. Yeah. That's kind of what people think of when they're channeling. So these people, all those people that I've mentioned, are kind of like trance channels. Well, Esther Hicks, she walks around and has her eyes open while she's channeling, so it looks like she's speaking, right? But it's like it's them coming through her. Other people will close their eyes and their voices change. If you watch them, their voices change, their mannerisms change. They speak in a completely different way to how they speak in normal kind of everyday life. And the wisdom that comes through this. So again, people can get really scared. Yeah. Because it's a bit weird. Yeah. It's a bit freaky. And I remember the first time I came across, I don't actually remember when it was, but I remember the first time I came across channeling, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, me too.
It's a bit much for me. But now channeling stuff is like some of my favourite stuff to listen to. Because what I realised, obviously, as time went on, is that it's how it makes you feel. And because obviously I've been trying to build up my intuition throughout these years and focus on what resonates with me, what feels like the truth to me, what makes me feel good, what I can feel raises my vibration, and also what does the opposite. Yeah. I'm very guided towards what I consume by how it makes me feel. Yeah. Now, before, because this is really interesting, before all of this, I did the opposite. Because of how we're programmed. Yeah. So if I listen to things, now I wonder how many of you can resonate with this. I don't know whether you can resonate with this, but I wonder how many people listening can resonate to this, whether you do it now or whether you used to do it in the past, is that if I would listen to things that made me feel good, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes me feel excited, there'd be something in my mind that would go, oh, for God's sake, Tash, that's just wishful thinking. Stop being a dreamer. Be realistic, get back to the real world. Yeah. You can't think like that because you're just going to let yourself down.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Definitely.
And that's what I think most people do. But I understand that now. Like I see through it. It's because we have been programmed with all these beliefs that we've got from society, from the things that we learn from our parents, who are only giving that to us because that's what they've learned, and that's what society as a whole and has been programmed to see the world as. And it's all stemming from these beliefs of life has to be hard, like you have to, things are going to go wrong, and you have to be on alert so that you can manage yourself.
Don't have your head in the clouds.
Yes. Like, be realistic. That's not going to happen. Yeah. That only happens to other people. That doesn't happen to us normal, regular people. Yeah. And then the deeper ones, obviously, like, I'm not worthy of that. I don't deserve that. I'm a bad person. All these things. So because I now work with this on an everyday basis, it just is so clear and obvious to me that that's what it was coming from.
Yeah.
Obviously now, over the years, and I'm programming my beliefs to be the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
You know, you get to feel good every day. Life gets to be amazing. Life is always working out for you. You're always going to be guided. You know, you're not alone. You're loved. You're worthy of everything you want. You know, you get to have, life is full of abundance and you can get to have whatever you want. You're a powerful creator. La, 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 la. Then all of a sudden, you get to, because you don't have those old beliefs anymore, your intuition gets to come through. Because what that was, when I was feeling good and I was feeling excited, that's my intuition. That's my soul coming through going, yes, that's the truth. Yes. That is the truth. And my body and my intuition knew that. But then my mind, with my beliefs, like my humanness, the ego, would come in and go, don't listen to that. That's crazy. Danger, danger, danger. Yeah. Get back to the old programming where you feel safe, which is that everything's shit and everything's hard and you have to like keep yourself tiny in this small little box and you have to work really hard for the rest of your life. It's going to be tough and then you're going to die. But now I'm like, true. That feels good to me. So let's go back to channeling because I've gone on one of my tangents. But so go back to channeling. Before, when I first started listening to it, I'm like, my ego and my mind's going, well, that's weird. Yeah. You don't understand this. You know, danger, get away. They're mad. You're mad for even listening to it. So those fears went away. And what I paid attention to was how it made me feel. And I was like, this makes me feel good. This lifts me up. And it feels like the truth. Yeah. That's the only way I could say it. When I first started listening to the channeling stuff, I was like, this feels like the truth. Yeah. This feels like I already knew this. And now I'm just remembering something rather than learning something new. And like I said, the channeling, or the channeling that I listen to anyway, because I pay attention, anything that I hear that I'm like, that makes me constricting or that gives me a little bit of fear, like switch it off. Or I just don't take that one. I'm like, that doesn't resonate with me. I'll leave that there with you.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, it's so important. You have to learn to do that when you're in this kind of world. Like, well, just in general, you need to know, but particularly in the spiritual world, because you think like when it's spiritual, like everything's love and light. It's not. So you have to, but also not everything's for you, and that might be for someone else. Yeah. But again, you'll remember you are the one creating your own reality. So I will only allow in things that make me feel good and improve my reality and take my reality and focus my consciousness on things that are going to make my reality good for me. Yeah. But yeah, so all the channeling that I listen to is uplifting. It's like full of kind of like empowerment, and it's just all from love, and it's just literally saying, and it's all the same stuff. You start listening to this channeling and you're like, same themes. It's like when you listen to our podcast, we're talking about the same thing all the time, just in different contexts. Same thing with channeling. It's the same message. You have the power. You get to live a life full of joy, love. You are a powerful creative being. You have no idea who you are. The whole key to creating a life that lights you up is about understanding your beliefs, understanding that you can change your beliefs at any time and your beliefs create your reality. So everything that I'm talking about and that I get to do in my work, which is why I just love, like when I hear what these beings that are being channeled, and we can talk about who they are later, but when I hear what they're saying, I'm like, yes, I'm here. Like the work I'm doing is actually helping people like to do what these beings are saying that they need to do. Because it's all well and good hearing this channeling and saying, you know, and you are a powerful creator and you do get to create your own reality, and you and it's your beliefs that do it, and you just need to change your belief. But like, yeah, we're humans. How do we change our beliefs? It's but I'm like, well, I can do that. I can help people do that. Exactly. And I love that. Yes. And you know, I've done it for myself as well. So that kind of channeling is probably what people are familiar with. Yeah. And if you have, I would say after this, if you haven't listened to any channeling, or if you're not familiar with it, just go onto YouTube and type in Esther Hicks. Yeah. Because, like I said, she isn't one that closes her eyes and sits there with her eyes closed and has a different voice. She's speaking like I am now. Yeah. But what she's saying, the concepts that she's saying are of a the way she can say it, and it's she's not thinking, it's just coming through her, it's just flowing through her, and she answers people's questions and stuff. So, you know, it's not like she's got a plan to be. Just notice, if you go and listen to her, just be quiet for a minute, just put it on and notice how she makes you feel, how the words, not how her words make you feel.
Yeah.
Because if they make you feel uplifted, you know that's your truth. You know that's, and honestly, the more you listen to it, the more you start believing it.
Yeah.
It's a big part of how I managed to change my belief system as well, because obviously I've done the hypnosis and everything for me, but it's not all about that. You can change your beliefs on a conscious level. You just have to be relentless in what you consume, and you have to hear it over and over because your subconscious mind likes repetition.
Yeah.
So I would listen to the same things over and over and over again, all throughout the day, every day. So have a little listen and pay attention to how it makes you feel when you listen to it.
I will be doing that because I haven't listened to her.
Have you not?
No, I don't really listen to channeling, but I definitely will now.
Yeah.
And that's such a good way of getting in touch with what's right and what's wrong. Like you're saying, like feel it in your body. What makes you feel good? That's so good. That's so important, isn't it? And like you say, we shut that down because it's like, oh no, we're not allowed to feel good, so that must be wrong.
Exactly.
So it's understanding.
That's nonsense.
No. Oh, that's so far away. That's the opposite to what we should all be doing.
Now, that's not to be confused with if it does make you feel like, I don't like that, makes me feel fear, then that's not for you. Don't force yourself to listen to it. It's not for you. But pay attention, because I've given you that example now of how I was very aware that my body was liking it, but my mind was making me feel maybe like I had that negative, fearful voice in my head saying, no, don't do this, you're going to let yourself down, you can't feel like that, you know, that kind of voice. Pay attention and see if that's, so if you start having those voices when you're listening to it, just tell it to shh, and just let yourself get past that and focus on how it feels, like I said, inside. And then you'll be able to, because with channeling as well, and this is where we get even more into the unseen world, it's also a frequency.
Right.
And now everything is energy. That's our first episode. Everything is energy and frequency. But I think that with the channeling that's coming from these beings that are in a higher vibration than us, different dimension, like however you want to say it, their words, their energy within their words is of a high frequency, and that's why it can raise your vibration, and it's almost like healing, like, you know, like healing sounds. It's the same thing. Their words have a healing frequency, and it's another reason why I listen to the channeling, because it's like a two-pronged approach. You're having the words and the information they're giving you on one level you're learning, you're understanding that with your intellectual mind, but then on the underneath energetic side, it is sending you out a frequency which is effectively calming your nervous system. So when I listen to it, I can feel my whole nervous system just go and a sense of peace and calm like sweeps over me. And it's not because of the words. It's really hard to explain, and you have to listen to it for a while, so you get, because obviously this is what I've realized over time listening to it, but now I'll use it as a tool deliberately. If I'm feeling like overwhelmed, or if I'm feeling in fear, if I know that I've got myself into one of those, you know, ego negative spirals where I'm like, then I'll put channeling on, because I know it brings me back up, and it brings me back to my center, where I'm like, oh yeah, of course everything's fine, like of course it's good. Lovely. So that's another way of using those kind of channelings to help you.
And what about you know, writing, journaling and channeling that way? That's quite
100%.
That's fun, isn't it? Because we're all doing that and we don't realise. How many times do you pick something up and go, wow, I wrote that. That sounds so good. That wasn't me, was it? You know, and that's quite a nice way for them to, because you're in a meditative state, aren't you? Sort of letting go when you're writing, because you're focused
definitely
on something else. enabling something to come through. And I guess you can, just practice that if you wanted to, see what happens. I haven't done that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to do it. That way seems less scary, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The writing.
It's an easier entry point in.
Yeah.
Because yes, you're 100% right. So in terms of the channeling kind of spiritual side of things, that's called automatic writing. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
Automatic writing. But listen, when you're journaling, you're channeling it through, depending on, I suppose, kind of what state you're in, and everything's about your intention.
I was going to say that you could set the intention, can't you, before you begin?
That's what you want to
channel.
Do. You set the intention. I want to channel through, wisdom. Like I want to channel through my higher self, my guides, like whatever you resonate with. Then your focus, because what an intention is a focus for your consciousness.
Yeah,
and then that's great because then you're going to filter through what you need. And I used to do that in the real early stage. Every now and then, I'm not like an avid journaler, but I do know that sometimes if I got stuck, or if I'm blocked, or if I need to work something out or let something out, I'll go straight to the journal and I'll just start writing. And when you don't have to know what you're writing.
No,
just
that's
start.
Why I find it really good doing the gratitude journal.
Yes,
because you have an idea and then you begin, and then before you know it, you can go with it, can't you?
Yeah.
That's quite a nice one.
That's it, because with the gratitude you can say, "Oh, I'm grateful for." There's at least one or two things you can.
And you're
be grateful
raising your
for.
vibration, aren't you?
Yes.
So you're allowing even more to come through that way. Yeah.
But if you're in a place where you don't feel like you can focus on gratitude at the time because you're feeling heavy or whatever, just start writing, and don't think it doesn't have to even make sense. It doesn't have to be full sentences. Start writing what you feel. And at first it will feel like it's coming from your conscious logical mind, because it is, but you have to get yourself going, and then all of a sudden watch your pen will start going faster and it will start coming out. Now it's still you. It's not like you feel like your pen's been taken over. No. It's not like that, but you just start flowing. And this is what channeling is. You could use that as, another way of saying it is when you're in the flow. Yeah. That's your channeling. If you're in flow, you are 100% channeling. And this is what I mean by we're doing it all the time, whether we know it or not. But yes, writing is a great way. Journaling is a great way. I've had some amazing stuff come through. Like some of my big breakthroughs have been through journaling or automatic writing. Because I read it back and I'm like, I don't remember writing that. Like, did that come from me? Wow. And words and phrases that it's not the normal way I speak. It's not my usual vocabulary. And it's there on the page and I'm like, wow, that's not from me. And then, a lot of the time I've kept journals since my mum died. 5 years now. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll read some of the stuff that I've clearly channeled. I'm like, wow, that's wise. Like, oh, that's amazing. And like you said, very accessible, very easy to do. So everybody should just give that a go. And again, use it with intention, use it consciously to help you channel through that, like your higher self, that wisdom. And you'll be really surprised. If we go back to talking about being in flow, this is what I want to kind of highlight to you, like that you're all channels. So can you guys think of a time when you're doing something that you really love, like something that just lights you up and time seems to disappear? So it will just either go really, really quickly or you'll feel like time's just really extended because again, time isn't linear. Time doesn't actually exist. Time doesn't exist. Which is why, so when we're in our everyday life and we're thinking in our like conscious mind, time kind of seems to go as it should go, as you should think it would go. But when you're in flow or when you're channeling, in that channeling state, time gets malleable, which is why it feels like you're like, how is it 3 hours just gone like that? It feels like 5 minutes. Or sometimes you look at the clock and you're like, whoa, I've got so much done. It feels like it should have been 5 hours and it's only been half an hour. So very well when you experience time like that, you've been channeling. You've gone into that state where time doesn't exist. And it's usually when you are doing something that brings you joy, something creative, something that lights you up. Because again, like I said before at the beginning, it's when you're bringing in your own unique special gifts and talents. So, you know, if you play a sport, if you're doing painting, if you're writing, you know, even when you're watching something that you're captivated by, like time can disappear as well. There's so many things, like I can't even go through them all because there's so many.
Yeah.
Because we all have our own special gifts and unique talents. But I would hope that you guys listening can identify or think of one thing that when you do it, you're just like, oh,
yeah,
you know, that was amazing, because you have so much fun. You're just in it, in flow. You're just in the moment. And it could even be when you're with people, like your people, people that you resonate with, that you're supposed to be with, you're on the same vibe as, and time just disappears.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God, 5 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like an hour.
Exactly. And you know, again, that's when you're in that state where you can be channeling as well. But what I also want to say is that for me, and again, this is because I'm really hyper aware now of myself, and I've been doing it for a long time, but I know that when I do this podcast, I'm channeling.
Yeah.
I wonder if you guys like have noticed it before, or maybe now after this episode you might notice it, but it's when I go on my rants. So right now I'm not necessarily, I am in a state where I'm channeling as soon as I've hit record on this podcast, but there's times when things will start flowing out of me, and it probably notice that I don't take a breath. It's when I start speaking really quickly and I get kind of like that passion. I know you know when I'm doing it, but like I get that passion, and then I go then that's like the end of the and I bet you guys like I've heard that. And it's really interesting. So from my perspective, if I explain to you what it feels like, because it might help you recognize when you guys do it. So when I'm talking, when it starts coming through, I know that I'm channeling. I know it's coming through and again, we set the intention every time that, you know, we're used as channels to deliver whatever information needs to come through for everybody's highest good at this time, don't we? That's our intention. So I trust in our intention. I know, you know, we've built our belief that when we have an intention and we ask for something, it's done. It's done. So then all your job is to just trust and allow that to come through. Because if you don't trust it, you're putting a block in your channel. If you're questioning, oh, is this me? Is it something else? Is this right? Like, you're going to put a block up. Whereas I have now for the past 5 years been practicing being an open, clear channel, because I do it in my work as well. And so I just trust that it's whatever's going to come through is going to come through. And I've had the effects of that be proven to me, you know, that it's working. So anyway, when I allow that, when it starts coming through, it's like I step back. My consciousness, like my awareness, my me inside here steps back, and I know my mouth's moving, and I know I can hear the words that are coming out, but I'm not saying them, because my mind up here when I'm talking is already thinking, oh, okay, so I'm going to talk about that in a minute, and oh yeah, I need to remember to ask Becky that, and oh, and that's interesting what I just said there, that's really good, and I'm narrating what's going on. But my mind, I'm not thinking about what I'm saying at all. It's just flowing through me. And that's how I experience the channel. Oh, and by the way, my energy feels so high when I'm doing it. And that's because I think when it's coming through, the vibration is raised. Because if it's, so whatever's coming through, their frequency is higher than mine. And that's why you probably see me sitting, if you're watching, you see me start sitting up and I get closer to you and then I speak faster and I'm like, I feel really excited. It feels really good. But then afterwards I'm like, whew, whew, wow. And that's like, that is channeling. But I'm here, it's my voice. I've got my, it's not scary. But it's higher wisdom. That's what it is. It's higher wisdom, and it's a higher frequency, and it makes people feel good. Like you guys, if you're coming back and listening to the podcast every week, you might think it's because you like what we talk about, but also I bet you like how you feel after or when you listen to it. Because again, our intention, we've set from the beginning, is that we want to make people feel good, don't we? We want to raise people's vibration. We want them to like feel our energy that we're sending out, and we want them to feel it. And so this is what I'm saying when like the channeling, the stuff that comes through when you're channeling isn't just about the words and the intellectual part of it. It is about the energy that sits behind it and how it makes you feel.
Oh,
yes. And I do the same thing in my work with my clients. When I'm creating their hypnosis and I'm doing all that for them, they all say to me, how do you just do that? How do you just make it up on the spot? Like, how do you know exactly what to say? It's like you speak to my soul. I'm like, yeah, it's not me. It's not me. Like, part of it is, it's like the journaling. It's like the automatic writing. I will start talking. It's me. I'm doing it consciously. But then I start getting in the flow, and then I become that. It's like that channel opens up, and then the stuff flows through. And I trust. You know, I have people come in. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I talk to them. They tell me what they want to work on that day, and I'm like, right, bam, let's make you a hypnosis now. Put them in, and then I just trust that whatever, it's going to come to me. I don't know what it is, but it will come. And it does. And then like I said, I know that it's working because people say, I don't know how do you do that? It's like everything I needed to hear, you've just said it, and we haven't even spoken about it. And it's magic. But I'm not special, by the way.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I just have stop it. I have just worked out how to allow. I've just worked on my trust that there is something unseen that is working through me.
You can feel it now, can't you?
Yes, I can. And then you get the little synchronicities and the things that happen afterwards that just make you go, oh yeah, that was it. You know, it's just confirmation. And it takes time. It takes work. This is the work I do every day. I've worked really hard to build up my trust.
Especially as you are such an overthinker.
And
for you to just go, well, I just know what to say, you know, to not overthink the hypnosis that you have to put together. You just go, bam, done it. That's that trust that you've built up, because really you shouldn't be able to do that because you're such an overthinker, and you would have talked yourself out of it, but you found the way in, haven't you?
Well, that's the work. You've watched me. You've watched me go from, oh my gosh, no, I need facts. I don't believe anything I can't see. You know, I'm an overthinker. I need to know for sure that this is this. To just the tough journey I've had to get to a point where I can just go, I just trust that it'll come out, or whatever. To the point now where I would, you know, when I do my group work where I'm teaching my hypnotherapists, or if I was to go and do a talk now, I tell you 100% now, I would not have anything planned. I'd obviously know what I'm going to talk about. Like today, I knew we were talking about channeling, but other than that, I would not have anything planned. I will just trust that whatever needs to come through will come through. And if I had something planned, it would really throw me off. I can't have, as soon as I have a structure, I can't let go. I can't let that channel come through. Because now my mind is too much on the conscious, like I have to follow this script or I have to follow this plan, that I can't let go and get into that flow state where then the best information can come through. That's magical. And I want everyone, like from this episode, I want everyone to be able to start leaning into that, because then this can work in your everyday life, in like when you're talking to a friend. You know, you touched on it earlier before. If you're talking to a friend and they're having some trouble or whatever, and you're kind of just trying to help them, if you can ease back and like have that intention, like ask, again, this is something that I do all the time. Like, how can I give you work through me? How can I help this person? What, instead of thinking, oh God, what should I say? You know, should I tell them this? Don't like get out of your head, allow that channel to come through. Like, how can I help this person? What do they need to hear? What is for their, what's for their highest good right now? And then just be quiet.
I was going to say that. That's where the listening comes in
100%.
handy, doesn't it? if you just sit and listen and wait for those little nuggets to drop in.
And then, like you said, if something then pops into your mind and you know you haven't been searching for it, it's not your logical mind. If something then pops into your mind, then that's when you need to trust that that's come from somewhere and have the confidence to say it.
Yeah.
And you might be surprised because your friend might just go, oh, yeah, I really needed to hear that.
You know when you just flick that switch on sometimes? Yeah. You just hear it. That's a really good, That's sort of how I think I channel. By just, I'm not so in the flow, but I just sit and listen and wait. Because I'm focusing on what they're saying, I'm sort of in that meditative state to allow other things to come through because I'm focusing on them, and then I get little bits. Whereas, but before I would have gone, oh shush, to myself, just let them talk. You know, just listen to them. What do you know, sort of thing. But now I pay attention and go, oh, you know, I say to myself when they finished what they're saying, I'll say that to them. What's just popped in.
Yes.
And honestly, they need to hear it. You know.
Yeah.
You say it with kindness and say it with love.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
And it's coming from love.
It's love. It's always love. Yeah. It's never anything, you know, I'll tell them to pull themselves together.
No.
Or anything like that.
And sometimes it can be, like sometimes when I do it, I'm like, whew, that's strong words.
Yeah.
But again, before my conscious mind, my logical mind would go, you can't say that.
Yeah.
That'll upset them. Then they won't like you. But
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, I trust that if that's what they need to hear.
Yeah.
And also now I've worked on my beliefs of you speak your truth, be authentic, always say it with kindness and love.
Yeah.
And also getting rid of those fears of rejection and you know, I'm not a good person, all of that, the people pleasing.
Yeah.
Then, you know, you can say it, and the amount of times people say to me now, like, oh, thank you for saying that. Like, I'm so glad that you you can speak to me like this. Or like, I'm so like, it's so awesome how you just say no now. I never thought I would hear that because I'm just like, yes. Now I'm like, oh no, thanks. Thank you. Or I'll say something, whereas before I would have gone, I'll never say that to them. That's like risky. But I'll say it and it's received well.
Yeah.
And because it's always coming from love, like obviously my intention is always to have everything for everyone's highest and best good for love. It. And don't forget, when you're channeling and when this information is coming through you, it's being filtered through your intuition, through your guidance system, which is given to you by your body. Yeah. So again, when it's coming through, if it's like I said to you, when I'm doing this, I can feel my energy, I feel excited, I feel powerful, I feel like happy, like all the good feelings I feel. If I was talking and I started, so for instance, really, really great example, if you are talking to someone and you find yourself starting to get on towards the bitchy side, towards the gossipy side, guarantee you feel it in your body. You'll start feeling a little bit of like, constriction. Like I feel it, like constriction, you know, but some kind of feeling in your body that you receive when things don't feel good to you. And as soon as I feel that now in my body, whereas before I'd feel it but I'd ignore it. Just like no. My body is my guidance system, and it's like my GPS for my intuition and what's right and what's wrong for me. Because we all have different metrics set up. We're all different people, we're here for different purposes, we're here to do different things. So what's right or wrong for me wouldn't necessarily be right or wrong for you. But for me, my body is my guidance system. And if I feel that kind of, oh no, this doesn't feel good, I'll stop the conversation, or I'll try and break the conversation up because I don't like where this is going. Doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. So it's really important to say that when you're doing this and when you're allowing it on an everyday basis, if whatever you're saying doesn't feel good, stop. Because it's not resonating with you, and it's obviously not coming from the best place. But if it's feeling good when you're saying it, even if your logic mind's going, oh God, can't say that. Don't say that. That's really bad. But if it feels right in your body, trust it. Like really trust it. And the more that we can get used to this and understand that we're channeling, understand what channeling is.
Yes.
Understanding that we're doing it all the time. Yeah. Everyone's a channel, not just people that you think are weird or psychic or spiritual or special. No.
Yes, exactly. It's like you say, with that frequency coming through, I guess maybe people channel different frequencies. The ones of us that don't know we're channeling.
Yeah.
And not tuning into anything specific. We've all got our own frequency maybe that we're channeling. And that's why you have a lot of friends or a lot of people that you just love to be around, but you don't know why. And maybe it's that because their frequency that they're channeling when they're talking to you just resonates and lifts you and heals you.
Yeah.
Like those ones that you could just spend an hour with and not even say anything and you feel better.
Exactly that. That's the thing, isn't it? Like I'm sure you've all got those. I hope you've got at least one person in your life where you just think, when I'm around them, I just feel good. I don't know what it is, because you don't particularly talk about. It's not like you're putting the world to rights or they're counselling you or anything. But you're just like, they just make me feel good.
Yeah,
and
their words are healing, aren't they?
Yeah, like, you always, whenever you say stuff, you always make me feel better.
Yeah.
Like that. It's because probably they are, whether they know it or not, they are in touch with, they're channeling and they're in touch with their kind of higher self that's always coming from the highest of vibrations, like love, the truth of who we all are. And they're channeling that through you and you like it. Makes you feel good because it resonates with you, because it's the truth and it's who you are as well. But it's why, like, those like lower vibration people who have got their channel well closed. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good because it's not the truth. It's not who they are. It's not who you are. And especially if you're kind of a bit more in touch with the energy and you're on a path to where you are trying to raise your energy and raise your vibration, it's going to feel even more of a like, ugh, no. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else in terms of channeling that I want to say. I do really like, I can't stress enough that listening to channeling, how much it helped me in my spiritual journey, because not only, like I said, was what I was listening to and the frequency of it was doing something for me, like raising my vibration. It also did help me to realize how we're all channels, and how I personally channel and when I'm channeling, and therefore I can do it more consciously. It took my hypnotherapy work to a whole nother level when I consciously could come in, because in the early days I would, like we spoke about, I would come in and I'd think, oh god, what am I going to say today, like what are we going to work on, what hypnotherapy, I'm really nervous, like what hypnotherapy am I going to do, is it going to work? Whereas I walk into that door now, I don't know what I'm walking into, and I'm just like, yay, fun, interesting, what's going to come? Because I have absolute, complete trust that there are unseen beings working with me, because I have fostered a relationship with them, and I've built my trust, so I know that it's not just me sat here anymore, and I've got some crazy wisdom, like people who have a much higher perspective, who know that person, who can see that person, who sees their future, who knows what's best for them. I have them working with me. Now that doesn't mean, and I think this is really important, that I disregard my personal skills and knowledge. It's like a blended marriage. So I use it to enhance what I know I am already good at. And it's like a superpower. It honestly, it is, but it all comes from that trust, trusting that I have this channel, trusting to absolutely let go. And it is easier said than done. Like I said, I've worked for a lot of years to really allow it. And I've been lucky because I've been able to do it in my job. But it's scary. It's not easy. I would have to sit here, and every time I would, like, before someone came, I'm like, right, okay, I trust you. I trust that you're going to like help. I'm not alone. I've got help. I'm just going to go with it. And, every session I built up that trust a little bit more, and I started receiving proof that it was working till now. I can put it to every area of my life. Every area it works in. When I started doing this, I could have got nervous and think, what we're going to talk about, what we're going to say. Do I have to plan it? Like, now. And everything's just so much easier. Like, if I go on and I like speak on podcasts, or I'm doing teaching, or like whatever,
just let go.
I just let go. Like, whatever needs to come through will come through. I trust it completely, and it changes your life. And again, all of this stuff goes towards everything that we're talking about on the podcast in terms of self-growth and personal development. It builds up the trust in yourself. It builds your confidence. It helps you to problem solve. It helps you to build trust in the universe and in life, that if you've got wisdom coming through you and you've seen it, that is not yours, if you've got that coming through you, that you've got that help all the time, so you don't feel alone anymore. You don't feel like you have to work everything out anymore, because you trust. When we always say, trust the universe has got you. This is a really great way to build that trust and see it in action, because when you can do that, you can trust that, that same wisdom, that same beings, or whoever it is, whatever force, energy, whatever you want to call it, is still with you in everyday life as well. And if you ask for it, the same thing will happen. You'll be guided towards what you need to do, and you can trust that it will come, even if like everything seems to not make sense. Just trust it. It's a game changer.
There we go.
Oh, that's it.
It's a wrap.
And although, just a quick note to say, these beings or these things that you're channeling, don't be scared, because I think that's another thing. Going back to what I said first of all, when you see that, like, their voice is changing, these
in
things
the seance,
coming through, the seances.
Alfie's here.
Exactly. You are going to die. It's not that. It's not that.
No.
Like,
it's seeing that other side of it, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, that is a side of it.
If you have
enjoy.
And yes, if you have the intention to bring that through, then this is why intention is so important. And we have said it, but to say again, always have the intention to connect with the highest vibration, the highest frequency, that with beings or with energies that are only from love and have the highest and best good for everybody. Like, it's just a non-negotiable.
That's right.
And trust that when you do that, your intention is you have absolute power. So when you say that, that's it. It's done. Don't doubt it. It is done. Because it's only when, this is why fear of spirituality, and like we had in the early days, and we've spoken about this in our early podcast, when we were scared of the spiritual world, of the unseen world, is why we had negative experiences, because that's what we were focusing on. Whereas now I'm like, it's only light. I'm not being ignorant to think that there isn't like the darker stuff out there. There absolutely is, because it's a balance, but I don't want it. I don't choose to focus my attention on it, and I know I have the power, like, to say no. I have power of my own energy and my own focus. This is what I'm saying, we're so much more powerful than we realise, that when I state that, it's done. So so what was I saying? The beings. So obviously we're only contacting, we're only allowing like high vibrational beings here. But just imagine, like, we don't even know it. Your belief system, like, everyone's belief system is different. But for me, my world's just gone like this, because the more you allow and the more you let go, the more you see, the more you allow yourself to see and to kind of be aware of and to accept, and it just gets wild, but in the best way. So you can have, if you believe in, like, I was never religious, so angels don't, I believe in angels. But I know people who have maybe had like Catholic upbringing and stuff, that the angels are like normal for them. So you might like feel like, yes, I'm gonna talk to my angels. It's my angels like guiding me. It doesn't matter. Like, I like to think of like I've got wise spirit guides that have lived on Earth and now like have kind of learned all their lessons, and they've passed that. Native Americans, like, alien beings from other star systems, planets, dimensions. There is like literally, quantum physics has now confirmed that we live in a multiverse. There is many, many, many dimensions. So all these beings, we are multidimensional as well. We can contact all these beings. We can have contact with like our parallel life selves, our, you know, past selves, future selves that are in other systems. Like, it gets wild.
Yeah.
And you don't have to know.
No.
You don't have to know who's necessarily coming through you, but I just think that it's nice if, like I said, I developed a relationship with with who I feel is working with me. I can't tell you who they are or what they look like. And in the beginning, I wanted to know what they look like, who they are, what their names.
Yeah.
I don't care.
No.
I don't care anymore. I don't have a clue. But all I know is that they help me out, and the people that I'm around a hell of a lot all the time.
Yeah.
And they're always giving me little messages and little kind of confirmations in the things that they'll pull my attention to, words people will say to me, things I will hear, books I will read, podcasts I'll listen to, things I'll hear people saying in the shop. And I'm like, come on, guys. And they're funny, aren't they?
They're so cheeky.
So cheeky, so funny. And I don't know who they are, and it doesn't matter, but I know they've got my highest and best good. They've got the people that I work with and I am surrounded by, you know, their highest and best good, and I trust in that. And that's all I need to know. Yeah. That's all I need to know right now. So if you can get on board with that, that you have unseen help from dimensions, from realms, from beings that have a much higher perspective than we do, and they have a lot of knowledge, have a lot more knowledge than we do, and a lot more love.
Yeah.
And if you can think that that's what you want to connect to and channel through, that's how I think sometimes, you know, when people say, she's just an angel. Yeah. You know, like those, like, you can be that. Yeah. That's what my intention is all the time, to channel through that wisdom, that love, that energy, so that I can walk around and make people feel good. Yeah. Calm, peaceful, whatever the good feelings are. Yeah. That's why I want to channel. That's why I'm open to channeling.
And that's what it's all about, isn't
it?
Isn't life on Earth.
Yeah. And imagine if we all did that.
I know.
Gosh, what would life be like then?
Oh, don't tease me.
I know. So come on, guys. Start opening your mind up to channeling. Yeah. Don't be scared. I really hope that we have kind of made channeling less scary and a bit more normal.
That you might look into now, whereas before, you know, you've demystified it and made it not scary. Because I know in the beginning, I would have been scared of channeling. Oh no, that's a bit too heavy. And like you say, when I did see it, it was like a seance. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, this little boy would come in, and it's like, oh, too much. But understanding how it's working for you all the time in the subtle ways, that's the magical stuff, isn't it? That's the magic right there. And what you want to harness and expand. Yes. And then tap into, like you say, build that relationship. And honestly, life just gets so much more magical, and you help so many people, and that makes you feel good. And so it goes round and round and round. And I love that. I loved listening to you. And what's that lady called again on YouTube?
So she's Esther Hicks. Hicks. And she, sometimes it's called like Abraham Hicks, because she channeled, they're like a collective. A lot of the time you'll find that in channeling. Yeah. It's not one being, it's a collective of beings. So she channels Abraham, and her name's Esther Hicks. Lovely. So either Esther Hicks or Abraham Hicks. Another channel who I really like and I resonate with, who the information that comes through, because I find that as well. Yeah, there's certain channels, there's certain stuff that I'm like, that's me. You know, when I said earlier, it's like it feels like I already know it. Yeah, it feels like a remembering rather than learning new information. I've definitely seen that I've got that from certain channels and not from others, and it's really interesting, because then when I find out where the beings that they're channeling, they're always from the same place. I'm like, that's very interesting. It sees stuff like that. So again, the channeling, it all feels good, but there are some that I know resonate with me much more. So I'll listen to that more. So anyway, sorry, that one was, so his name is Lee Harris. Yeah. and he channels a collective called The Z's. And I really like, because I think it's very simple. It's a lot of what I talk about with and work around with my hypnotherapy, with the belief system, and with how you work with that.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I resonate with it because it's those same frequency beings, the same beings from the same place that are working through me, because sometimes like the words that they say, I say them. Like I could have said it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, maybe that's because they're channeling through me when I'm talking, you know?
Definitely.
And everybody resonates with different things. So check him out. He might not resonate with you. It might resonate with you. But if you just, you know what it's like with the algorithm. You start Googling channeling, you'll have loads of stuff come up. Do it on Facebook or on Instagram as well, whatever you use. And you'll just start having little things come through. And let that fear, drop that fear. If you had the fear before, or if you had any voice in your mind that was going, this is nuts, this is mental, they're crazy, this is a load of crap. Just let those voices be there. And then just like a little child, just go, shh. And then listen. Just let yourself listen. Pay attention to how it makes you feel in your body.
Love that.
And then go from there.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, welcome. Right. Well, actually, it's quite, I think probably this is a good time to say now that another reason that we wanted to do this episode now about channeling is that very, very soon, well, it's already lined up, isn't it? But when I'm not sure when they're going to be coming out, but we are having guests.
Yay!
Come onto the podcast.
Oh, so excited.
Oh, we're so excited. We've got about 4 or 5 lined up in the next couple of weeks to record, haven't we?
Yeah.
With more coming in all the time. But we are going to be having someone come in who does channel, and we think she's going to be channeling for us on the show. So you'll be able to hear real-time channel.
Amazing.
I know. So this is a good little prep.
Yeah.
Get yourself out there, go listen to some channeling, and then prepare to come back and listen to a live channel from someone who's only kind of had it come through in recent years, so it's quite like new to her as well. So I think it'd be really interesting to hear her story and how, you know, this came out of nowhere for her, and now how she's embracing it and the wisdom that's coming through. So that'd be very interesting.
Amazing.
So stay tuned for our guest shows. We've got so many awesome people lined up already, all in the kind of like working in that kind of spiritual, unseen space, but always with a view to healing and being your better you and the personal growth and self-development. So it's just going to be really exciting to hear loads of different ways that the unseen world and the spiritual world has actually helped people make their lives better.
Amazing. Can't wait. Make sure you tune in.
Right, guys, thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.